So glad to have you on this Tuesday. U.S. men's national team is about a minute and a half away from advancing to the knockout stage and facing the Netherlands, but still about 90 seconds left to go. We've been talking about the other kind of football, the NFL, here today, and we're so pleased now to be joined by Shaun King, one of our all-time favorites because he doesn't hold back. He is the co-host of Primetime on VSiN, of course, won a Super Bowl with the Bucs. Shaun, thanks so much for the time today. How are you?
Maggie, Andrew, happy holidays. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you, and happy holidays to you, too. Okay, first settle something for us, because Perloff and I just don't agree on this, which is Matt Ryan last night, Tom Brady on Sunday. I think, Shaun, these veteran quarterbacks should also get criticism when the end of the game situations get as funky as what happened last night or what happened with the Bucs against the Browns. Like, Matt Ryan should get up and call timeout whether he thinks he has the first down or not. Brady should be able to call timeout when they're driving to try to win the game in regulation. Perloff thinks that they're just executing orders from up top or from the sideline. What do you think?
I think they're different situations. I think Brady is kind of not culpable because it was the defense that was on the field, and that would have been directly Todd Bowles' responsibility. I just felt like Matt Ryan played a bad game start to finish. He never seemed comfortable. He never seemed like fully in tune with what Pittsburgh was trying to do. For a guy of his experience, he didn't have a lot of pocket presence throughout the game. So I think as a coach, you have to understand game flow. And he looked discombobulated, so I wouldn't anticipate that, he was capable at that time of properly utilizing the timeouts. But I think it just showcased, as good of a person as I think Jeff Saturday is, as much as he wants to succeed in this situation. That was the first time he had been kind of in a game management, clock management type spot, and I don't think he handled it well. He also had, I call him PlayStation Parks. Guy went from the PlayStation to calling plays. He had an offensive coordinator who's never even been a position coach. So I think the inexperience hurt the Colts down the stretch. And it's very few quarterbacks that are in control of timeouts. Because a lot goes into why and when you would call a timeout. What are you attempting to do? What's the score of the game? Who's the opposing quarterback? How's the game been going? Do we want to score with no time on the clock because we don't want to get, in a situation like Detroit did on Thanksgiving with Buffalo where you give a Josh Allen too much time. Like, a lot goes into it. It should be handled by the head coach.
So as long as we're talking about old quarterbacks, I have a question about both Matt Ryan and Tom Brady. Matt Ryan seemed to be throwing the ball low consistently. Like, guys were wide open and was hitting them in the knees, and Tom Brady is throwing the ball 10 yards in front of him. Is this old age we're seeing with these guys, or is there something different going on?
I think it is. The thing about Father Time, he don't really give you like a 2-week notice. You know how you get a great job and you go to your current employer and say, I've really enjoyed my time here. I want to be professional as I move into this next stage of my life. So in 2 weeks,
it's not you, it's me.
Time just kind of, Father Time just shows up, and you go to make a cut you used to make and you can't make it. You go to throw a pass that you used to make, and now it's they're trying to adjust on the fly as they're deteriorating, because of age. We'll see if they can get it done. Listen, at the same time, they both had tremendous careers, so I'm not going to come over here and badmouth Matt Ryan and Tom Brady, who've been good for a long time. They got old. It happens. It'll happen to all of us, hopefully.
Shaun King is our guest. He's the co-host of VSiN, Primetime, on VSiN. So, Shaun, we're talking about age. Is that what you're seeing with Russell Wilson, too, or do you think that's a totally different situation?
Well, I think what we found out is as Brady and Belichick separated, it probably was 65-35 Brady from a success ratio standpoint. As Russ has moved away from Pete Carroll, maybe it was 65-35 Pete Carroll. People look at Russell Wilson and they forget that he was a third-round pick selected to be the backup to Matt Flynn, who Seattle had just signed to a big contract in that offseason. So he's really overachieved, to be honest. He never was considered a first-round pick or a franchise saver. So if his career ends right now, he still had a career that superseded or exceeded, his expectations coming into the league. So I just look at Russell through that prism. He's not playing very well this year. The one thing I will say, I think Russell is really diminishing his opportunity to be in the Hall of Fame. I think if he went to Denver and played at the level he played at Seattle, he was going to go into the Hall. Based on the way he's performed, if nothing changes next year, I think it pushes Russell out of the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Wait, can I follow up that, Shaun? Do you think that watching how badly this trade, at least right now, has worked out for Denver, do you think that guys like Aaron Rodgers, maybe, I know his contract is not easily tradable, but do you think you look at either the Packers or from Rodgers' side and say, hey, maybe it's better if we just stay together? I think Matthew Stafford and Tom Brady made it look like it was so easy to just change teams and have success right away. Do you think Russell Wilson has maybe scared off some veteran quarterbacks from trying to take that route?
Well, I don't think Russell can blame anyone but himself. Honestly, Nathaniel Hackett doesn't look like he's going to be an elite head coach based on what we've seen.
No.
But Russell hadn't played well. So Stafford succeeded in L.A. because he played at a high level last year. Brady was a free agent. He went to Tampa. He played at the MVP level. He threw, 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns last year. So their performances are drastically different than Russell. If you're Green Bay, you're looking at it from the other way. If we can trade Aaron and Jordan Love can be for us what Geno Smith has been for Seattle, and we can get multiple first-round selections, as well, then that to me is a no-brainer. Because when you look at that roster, it's built more for a Jordan Love H quarterback than an older veteran player like Aaron Rodgers.
What do you mean by that?
A no-brainer to trade Rodgers?
Well, Christian Watson is a rookie. Romeo Doubs, I know he's injured. He's a rookie. Aaron Jones, Dillon, those are relatively young players. That roster is the way that it currently exists. A lot of young players on defense, Rashad Gary, Quay Walker, they got a young team. Mm-hmm. They're not a team that is full of veterans like Tampa, was with Gronkowski and AB and Mike Evans and, Pierre Paulo. Those guys were all, veterans, multiple Pro Bowls. We got to win a ring or else. Green Bay's in a different spot. If Jordan Love is even 75% of what he showed, versus the Eagles and a limited exposure, what you could get back for Aaron Rodgers, I think it sets the organization up to move forward in a much more healthy situation than if you keep Rodgers, who doesn't look happy, who seems frustrated with having to be a part of the growth process of these young players.
Wow.
Can I take one step back to Russell Wilson? This is for both of you. Can I just make a little case for Russell Wilson? He is throwing to nobody, and they're the most injured team in the league. And he was amazing 2 weeks ago against the Raiders in the first half. It looked like the old Russ. There's something in there. I think he's 34. If all those guys come back healthy, wouldn't you look at the Broncos maybe as an improved team next year? Are we sure that he's totally washed?
Well, that's not what people were saying coming into this. People were saying he's getting Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, and Javonte Williams got injured, but they were saying Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, two good, young backs. So I don't buy that. Plus, the eye test says Russell's not playing well. This isn't a whole bunch of drops. This is Russ taking bad sacks, Russ missing open guys, Russ acting like he's allergic to utilizing his athleticism. So a lot of this falls on Russ.
But he did hurt his hamstring in week 5, and he hasn't been able to run at all. He looks like, even when you see him running,
you sound like a Russ apologist.
I'm a Russ apologist.
You are a Russ apologist.
Possible he's injured, And I was actually, when I asked you before, I kind of thought Matt Ryan looked injured last night. I always see these quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers said, if you're a quarterback and you get out there, you play. But something like a thumb injury or something, aren't quarterbacks banged up a lot, and can't that affect the play more than we know?
Well, you're talking to a quarterback that played when you can actually get hit. Well, I don't think any of the guys that played during my era would have any sympathy for any of the guys playing currently. Because if they touch you hard, it's a roughing the passer. If they hit you high, it's personal foul. If they hit you low, it's personal foul. So the contact on the quarterback has been minimized significantly. Go watch some, and we're not talking about a long time ago. I played in the 2000s. Go pull up some games from 2000, 2001, 2002, and then get back to me.
I know. I think it's actually surprising. Like Brady actually has played through this whole era where you could get absolutely destroyed, like decapitated, and now he plays in this more two-hand touch kind of thing.
Yeah, Shaun, have you ever had? You got hit all the time. Have you ever been out there and hurt and had a bad game and known it was because you were injured partly, and then got killed by everybody else, even though you were hurt at the time?
Well, here's the approach I took. Listen, when we win, the quarterback's going to get a lot of, he's going to get a lot of things that come his way in a positive direction that maybe he isn't directly responsible for. And you accept those. So I always took the approach, when we lose, there's going to be some stuff that comes my way that's probably not my fault, but I got to take that as well. And that's how you create a sense of leadership in the locker room.
Yeah.
When the guys know that you aren't just in it for the good moments, but you're in it through the thick and thin. That left tackle knows when it's his mistake, and he's watching how you handle it when you get on the podium. A perfect example is Zach Wilson.
Yep.
Zach Wilson forgot in a moment of weakness that this is a team sport, and they've been covering for you during this winning streak, and you've been playing bad then too. Now that you guys lose and they ask you to take some and carry some of the blame and burden, you don't want to. So as a quarterback, you just have to understand it comes with the territory. Take the good with the bad. Internally, the film is the truth. So if it's not your fault, internally the people are going to know because they're watching the film. They'll know if the receiver ran the wrong route or if you made the right decision and he dropped it. Like, they're going to know all that. So don't feel like you have to defend yourself in the media.
Shaun, thanks so much for the time today. Appreciate it. I actually just have one last one before we let you go. And of course, Shaun King is the co-host of VSiN Live Primetime on VSiN. So this kind of came up a little bit on Twitter, and I hate to bring that up because what starts on Twitter is usually stupid, but I would love to get your take on it. If you could have Tua or Justin Herbert right now, who would you take?
I'll be honest, and Herbert's the more talented player physically. I think Tua has more championship genealogy. Like, Tua's the guy that I think is going to fight through a whole bunch of stuff, going to have more composure in the pocket, going to look adversity in the face and stand there and do what it takes to be successful. But he doesn't have the arm talent of Justin. He's not as tall as Justin. Ironically, he's not as good of an athlete as Justin. But I think Justin Herbert still has to mature, from a mental toughness standpoint. There are times when the rush bothers Justin. There are times when I think he allows chaos to make him chaotic. You don't see that with Tua. Tua's calm when everything's chaotic around him. So I think it's kind of a yin and a yang there. It probably depends on who my head coach is. What talent do I have around him? You're probably always going to lean towards the more talented player in the end. But I do think that Tua's further ahead. And maybe it goes back to the culture at Alabama, based on or opposed to the culture at Oregon where Herbert had 3 head coaches in his time at Oregon. So, he didn't come in, I think, with that foundation mentally that Tua did.
Shaun, can't tell you how much we appreciate this. We love your perspective. Love that you don't hold back. It's awesome. Love watching you on VSiN on Primetime. Thanks so much for the time. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, happy holidays, everyone.
Thanks. You too, Shaun. Talk to you in a bit. Appreciate that. That was Shaun King. That's awesome.
So interesting about Justin Herbert. When things aren't calm around you, you become uncalm. That's me. If things start to get chaotic, don't turn to me. I got none of that championship genealogy. I don't know if you do.
You know what?
When things start to go haywire, I'm like, oh, crap.
I got to be honest. I am also very quick to panic.
Yeah.
I am not the calm person. It's like, oh, wait, like an alarm goes off. I'm like headed to the door. Thank you for watching our video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to see more videos like this, just hit the bell.
Yeah, ring the bell.
Just hit the bell.